It's that time, y'all. Time for Big Boys Boxing. Shh. It's that time, y'all. Time for Big
Kia ora
Boys Boxing.
team, and welcome back to Big Boys Boxing. Oh, my intro isn't working today, so screw it. Let's just get into it. So today, I want to talk a bit about a couple of fights happening this weekend for the heavyweight division. We have Tony Yoka versus Johan Duhapas. That's on Friday in France, so that'll be early Saturday morning in New Zealand. And we also have Philip Hrgovic taking on Andrej Pala. And we've got some other big fights that we'll get to as well that aren't heavyweight dust-ups, but so let me do a quick sound check here, make sure this is all running alright. Damn, that's an ad. So just give me a minute here. Wait till this ad's finished and we'll check. Here we go. That's an ad. There we go. Sound check done. We're all good. So, I shall drop a link in the chat for anybody who might like to jump on and have a yarn about these dust ups. Let me grab a link here. Won't be a sec. Drop that in there. Pin it to the top for anybody who might like to join. And I better go jump into the Discord panel in case someone jumps in. There we go. I am in. Anybody else who might like to jump on can do so as well. So we'll start off with the one I'm looking forward to most. This dust up between Tony Yoka and Johan Duhapas. Tony Yoka is 7-0 currently as a pro. As we all know, he's a 2016 gold medalist at the Olympic Games. He's coming along fairly quickly despite a bit of inactivity for a little while due to missing some drug tests in France. He could have gone and fought anywhere else in the world using another license, but he chose not to. He's 28 years old. He is 6'6" or 6'7". I think he's more 6'6", but this is what BoxRec says. He has his reach listed at 82 inches. And of course, some of the guys he's beaten, I mean, his professional debut was Travis Clark, fairly lowish level kind of guy. At the time, he was 12-0. Of course, the second fight was Jonathan Rice, who's a very tricky journeyman. We've seen him on the weekend fighting F.A. Agagba. F.A. couldn't stop him. Tony couldn't stop him. Both those fights went the distance, but some other fights of Tony Yoka's, Cyril Leonette, who used to be the top Frenchman for a while before Johan Duhapas was on the scene. But he fought Dave Allen. He beat the living shit out of Dave Allen. Dave Allen was having dizzy spells after that fight, and it was really hard to watch. He did get the TKO in the final round against Allen. He also beat the turd out of Alexander Dimitrenko. And that was one of 3 fights that I know of off the top of my head where Dimitrenko pretty much gave up. Tony felt him out for the first couple of rounds and then started turning it up in the second round, turned it right up in the third round, and that was enough to make Alexander Dmytrenko pretty much quit. There was also Michelle Wallace, who Tony Yoka fought, and we know about Michelle Wallace. He was unbeaten at the time. I think he was 20-0 at the time. Oh no, he was 20-2 at the time. So he must have been beaten by a couple of guys before that. So, and that was Tony Yoka's last fight. That was in 2019. And so was the Alexander Dmytrenko fight. And prior to that is when he had his period of inactivity due to getting suspended by the French governing body for missing too many drug tests, which is fair enough. Now, his opponent, Johan Duhapas, is getting long in the tooth. But he's been around the block. He's been in there with a fair few decent fighters. He's 38-5. He's 39 years old, so it's not long before he's going to be expired. As a boxer, anyway. He is 6'5" and a half, well, 6'5", and he also has an 82-inch reach. He's actually got half an inch reach advantage on Tony Yoka. But I think the age difference and the battles that Johan Duhapas has been in is going to show up in this fight. So, Johan Duhapas was last in action the 25th of September last year. Luis Pascal was his opponent. I don't remember watching that fight, and it's not really a fight that I really wanted to see. Prior to that was Jarrell Miller. We saw that fight. That was a UD over 12. That was pretty much due to the volume of Jarrell Miller. But, you got to beg the question, was there any drug testing for that fight? After the fiasco with PEDs that Jarrell Miller has had in the last couple of years, makes you wonder, could Duhapas have beaten him if he wasn't juiced? There was also Newfell Owata prior to that, and Duhapas retired him at 8 rounds out of 12. Just a couple of fights that I'll mention because there's too many to mention for Duhapas. I'm just trying to find it. Oh, he had a scrap with Alexander Povetkin and got knocked out. But to be fair to Duhapas, he took that fight on less than 24 hours notice. Still managed to go 6 rounds with Povetkin, even though he was only boxing in his normal sneakers because he didn't even have his gear. He was there to go and watch Deontay Wilder versus Alexander Povetkin. It fell through due to the failed drug test from Povetkin. He needed a opponent because Deontay Wilder ran back to the States before the fight was even cancelled by the WBC or VADA. So in stepped Johan Duhapas, and credit to him, got to have some balls to step in there on less than 24 hours notice and take on one of the most brutal punches in the division. Prior to that was Robert Helenius. Now this fight, I remember watching this, it was way back in 2016. Robert Helenius was winning the fight, was on top of Duhapas for most of it, and then Duhapas landed one big right hand and knocked down Robert Helenius. Helenius stood up, stumbled all over the place, just about fell over the top of the ropes, and the fight was called off after 6 rounds. So that was a good win, probably Johan Duhapas's best win. But like I say, that's going back 4 years now. Prior to that was Nascimento and Deontay Wilder. Before that, he did go 11 rounds before getting TKO'd But he really did give Deontay Wilder some problems in that fight. Now, I think a lot of people don't give Johann Duhapas enough credit for what he is. I mean, he is long in the tooth. He's not a flashy fighter, but he's extremely solid. He's very durable. And I think it's a good test for Tony Yoka. A very good test for Tony Yoka. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. I do expect Tony Yoka to be able to win this one, but I think it's at least going to go some rounds, and I think we're probably going to see the similar style from Tony Yoka, where he's going to be feeling out for the first 1 or 2 rounds, and he slowly starts to pick up the pace, starts pouring it on a bit more and more, and I think we'll probably end up with a stoppage at about round 9, something like that. But I wouldn't at all be surprised if the fight actually ends up going the distance. We got Adam Fahey in the house. Good to have you in, brother. Appreciate your time, man. Who you got, Adam? Yoka and Hrgovic by stoppage. Yeah, I don't think there's any question about the Hrgovic fight. I mean, that fight's a bit of a joke, really, isn't it? I'll probably try and watch it. The fight's in Germany, so it may be a little tough to be able to find a broadcast. Also, the Tony Yoka and Johann Duhapas fight's going to be tough to find a broadcast for as well, I think. But hopefully, my man Double A Boxing and Blunts, who's really good at finding streams or broadcasts from countries where we don't usually get them. Hopefully he can hook us up and I can drop a link on the Discord, or he can drop it there himself, as he has the authority to do so. So, yeah. Right. Hrgovic versus Parla. Hrgovic is 10-0 at present. He's aged 28, 6'6". It doesn't have a registered reach, but I think he's got about an 81-inch reach, something like that. This is just a guess off the top of my head. And as we know, Hrgovic has a pretty decent amateur background. He's been moved along fairly quickly. I mean, he started with Rafael Zambanov, which is pretty standard for an up-and-coming prospect. Pavel Sauer as well after that. Another journeyman-type level guy. However, when Hrgovic fought him, he was 6-0. But, you know, an O don't mean nothing if you ain't fought anybody of any note. After that was Tom Little, maybe a slight step up. Sam Turner after that. Oh, no, it was Big Sexy, sorry. Sean Turner, Big Sexy after that, who at the time was 12-1. Filberto Tower. Yeah, not even worth mentioning that one. But then he starts getting into some recognisable names. We had Amir Mansour after that. And that was a hell of a mismatch, really. Beat the living shit out of him. Then we had Kevin Johnson after that for Hrgovic. Gregory Corbin after that, a guy who shouldn't have been in there with Hrgovic. I mean, at the time he was 15-1, but Gregory Corbin doesn't throw enough punches to be able to trouble someone like Philip Hrgovic. After that was Mario Heredia. At the time he was 15-6-1. And Eric Molina after that. That was a hell of a mismatch as well. But that was the last time Philip Hrgovic was in the ring, back in December of 2019. So, yeah, it is what it is. Now, his opponent, Andrej Parla. I had a quick look at his record before I went through the stream, because I couldn't remember him off the top of my head. But then once I seen a couple of the matches against recognizable names, I remembered who he was. Anyway, he's 33-5 with 0 losses. He debuted. Oh no, sorry. He was born in 1984. So what's that make him? Shit, he's only 6 years younger than me, so he'd be 36. So he's getting up there in age, but by no means is he done yet. But I'll get to his record in a minute. It's got him listed as inactive at the moment because he hasn't fought in a while. But he's from the Czech Republic. He's 6'3", not a big dude. There it is, 6'3", no registered reach. But this should be a hell of a walk in the park. Now, I went through his record and I was trying to find his best win. And I think it's got to be Konstantin Ancic. It's his best win. And he's fought him twice. I'm just trying to find it here. Give me a sec. Where is it? Where the fudge is it? There's a whole lot of names on here I don't recognise. There it is. Konstantin Ancic. I fought him in 2009. Long time ago. And he beat him by majority decision the second time. The first time he beat him by unanimous decision. But he's also been in the ring with Henry Akinware, and he beat him in unanimous decision over 6 rounds. But Henry Akinware at the time, geez, that dude's been around forever. That fight was back in 2008. Now, for those of you who don't know, Henry Akinware is the guy who knocked out John Fury brutally. You see the little clip of the knockout going around YouTube now and then. But I expect Filip Hrgovic to knock this dude out in round 1. If not, round 2. If it goes past round 2, Filip Hrgovic's got a hell of a lot of questions to answer. I don't know why this fight is even happening. It's dumb. Absolutely dumb fight. If it happens to clash with some of the decent fights that I want to see this weekend, because I mean we've got that huge Showtime card with the Charlo brothers fighting Devonchenko and Rosario. We've got Bradis v Dorticus this weekend as well. If this fight with Hrgovic clashes with one of those, I won't be watching it. And it's not often I say that when there's a heavyweight fight on compared to other fights. So I'm really not happy with this fight from Filip Hrgovic. Apparently he will be fighting maybe Rydell Booker not long down the line in October or something anyway. So this is just a tune-up fight, but seriously? What's the point if you're going to knock this dude out in 1 or 2 rounds? I really don't get it. But yeah, it is what it is, man. So I'm just making my way back to the chat now. Johan has taken a lot of hard fights in his time, and nearing 40 after a long layoff. It's all for the younger man to take him out. Yeah, I agree. And you know, I remember hearing an interview from Tony Yoka when he was training in Vegas with Joseph Parker, and he was talking about fighting Johan Duhapas then, and that was like the start of last year or something. So they kind of timed it, I guess, to to when he's a bit later and longer in the tooth. Whether they thought they needed to do that for Tony to beat him or not is another question. I don't think so. I think they just wanted to get some more fights in for Tony before, uh, having the big domestic dust-up. And that's essentially what it is. The two best heavyweight boxers in France getting it on. I would have liked to have seen it. Just have a look at my records here. I would like to have seen Yoka versus Duhapas in place of Alexander Dimitrienko when Tony fought him in July of 2019. I think that would have been fine for them to fight then, but who knows what Duhapas was up to at the time. I can't remember off the top of my head, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's pretty much what I expect from these two fights over the weekend. Now, a little bit of commentary about the performance from F.A. Agagba over the weekend. There was a whole lot of hype when he first burst onto the scene with a few spectacular knockouts, and of course the what's his name, Christopher Harper, walking out of the ring over a pay dispute when the bell rang for the first round, made it look like Efe Agagba's the boogeyman and people are scared of him. So there was a whole lot of hype, and even watching those fights and those knockouts, I had my suspicions straight away when I seen no head movement. He throws a good 1-2, but where's the left hook? He didn't throw a lot to the body, and he was very one-paced. Now, those were the negatives. The positives were, shit, the dude's got a lot of power. He's got pretty good power. He's big. He's almost 6'7". He's apparently young. I'm not so convinced that he's actually 27 years old. I think he's more like 32 or something like that at least. But I never saw anything that special. I don't think his power is anything compared to like what Deontay Wilder throws, right? That's a totally different kind of power. But I think he still has good power. And I was a little bit critical of maybe it was Ronnie Shields when he was fighting under the PBC banner, that he didn't seem to be showing any kind of improvement. Sure, they did get him into some of the right kind of learning fights once he stepped in the ring with Ali Randamiras and even Lago Kaladze, who did put him on the canvas, but is notorious for running out of gas. He ran out of gas against Adam Kovnarski. Who else did he fight? There was one of those other guys he fought. Was it... oh shit, who was it? Was it Charles Martin he fought? Lago Kaladze? I can't remember. But anyway, he's good for the first 3 or 4 rounds, and then he starts running out of gas because he's got to put out so many punches to keep the bigger men off him. But anyways, I thought those were good learning fights, and I was interested to see what kind of changes we would see, if any, from Agagba when he faced Jonathan Rice. But at the same time, I knew very well that Jonathan Rice is an elusive kind of character. He's not the journeyman that you throw a prospect in for the first journeyman level fight, because he will beat them if they're not good enough. But yeah, I thought Agagba didn't do too badly in the fight. Now, what I did think Agagba would step up the pace later in the fight, particularly when it seemed like Rice went into survival mode after about round 4. Rounds 5, 6, and 7, I thought Agagba should have started pouring it on a little more. But at the same time, credit to Jonathan Rice, he was landing a few good rights here and there, and some good counter shots, and I think that was making Agagba a little bit wary. He was getting possibly flashbacks of getting decked by Lago Kaladze. He didn't want to do that again. So I even noticed a few times after Agagba threw a 1-2, he would move his head a little bit to the left. It didn't happen often, but it did happen. And one other positive I did pick up from the fight, I think I only saw him do it 3 times. When he was using a double or a triple jab, sometimes he would move laterally after the first jab and throw the second and third on the move, moving to his left, trying to open up an opening for his right hand to go down the pipe. Now, those are 2 things that I'd never seen Agagba do before, but nobody seems to be picking up on those. So I do think there was a couple of positives there, and I don't think there's too much new stuff that Agagba could have tried against somebody who's as elusive and crafty as Jonathan Rice. So there's a few factors to consider when you say, oh, Efe Agagba's just a bum. He's nothing like the hype that I heard going around. Maybe not living up to the hype, that's right, but you got to take into consideration the level of the opposition when you're looking for improvements from a fighter. I think Jonathan Rice is possibly the same level, if not better, than Ali Demirzin. If they fought, I think Demirzin would actually win, because Rice tends to not throw a lot of punches through the middle of the fights. But at the same time, nobody seems to be considering that Jonathan Rice took this fight against Agagba on short notice as well. So he didn't have a full camp, but he still managed to drop nearly 20 pounds from his last fight against Dempsey McKean, and still managed to go the distance against somebody who's knocked out everybody except Ali and Demirzin. So don't be too hard on the man. But where he stands in the division, I think he's probably a level above the likes of Jermaine Franklin. I mean, when it comes to skill set, I think they're very similar. But the difference, I think, between those two is the size. And Jermaine Franklin's only 6'2", and Efe Agagba's 6'6". So if they fought, I think Agagba would win that fight. But I don't know if there's anybody in America at the moment that's on the same level as Efe Agagba. Of course, we've got guys like Deontay Wilder, Big Pharmacy Miller, maybe even Kalnacki, who are a level or 2 above Efe Agagba. But then there's like a big gap under Agagba to the guys like Damani Rock. Well, shit, there's a fight actually for Efe Agagba. It's a Trevor Bryan. Wouldn't be a bad fight for him. However, he's going to be busy. He was supposed to be fighting Christopher Lovejoy this weekend, was Trevor Bryan, and I'll actually get to that shortly. But yeah, maybe a Trevor Bryan is about a level where Efe Agagba is at present. But yeah, there's a big gap under that sort of level, down to Christopher Lovejoy's, Damani Rocks, Cassius Chaney's, Trey Lippin Morrison. It's sparse in the levels in America at the moment for me. So that's just how I see it. But anyways, this Christopher Lovejoy and Trevor Bryan fight was supposed to be happening this weekend, but I've heard from Rick Glazer. I mentioned it on Raphael Dawkin Combat Radio Ask Rick show, what he thought about the fight on the 26th or the 25th that was supposed to be on between Trevor Bryan and Christopher Lovejoy. He said it's not on that date anymore. Apparently they couldn't get a venue or a broadcaster or something, so they've moved it to October 3rd, being next weekend. I'm just going to look it up and see if it actually got confirmed. Give me a sec here. Christopher Lovejoy. There he is. 19-0. It's still not confirmed, but I did hear it was supposed to be going to happen on the 3rd of October. And I mentioned to Rick Glazer about Christopher Lovejoy's comments on social media a few weeks ago. You know, apparently Don King, who is Trevor Bryan's promoter, had paid the deposit for the fight, but hadn't paid the rest of the money. And Christopher Lovejoy was saying, you know, pay up or I'll walk. But Rick Glazer's good friends with Don King, and he hadn't heard of this. And once I mentioned it, he said, well, Lovejoy better keep his mouth shut or he won't be getting the fight. So who knows what's going on with that fight. You know, two guys who haven't... Well, Christopher Lovejoy has fought one guy with a winning record. And every fight he has ever had has been in Mexico. Down in Tijuana. I'll just see if I can quickly find this one guy with a winning record. I saw it. 13-3. 3-13. 1-2-1. It's pretty disgusting, really. You know, a guy who's got a record of 19-0, but hasn't fought anybody with a pulse. There's the guy who he fought, who apparently has a pulse. Jorge Alfredo Leal. At the time, he was 14-3-1. Now I'm just going to have a quick look at this guy. His record has changed since. He's now 14-11-1. So he's still got a winning record but he hasn't won a fight since he fought Christopher Lovejoy. Oh man, that's pretty freaking funny to me, man. Just looking at, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's lost his last 11 fights. Holy McMoly. So, we don't know what to expect from Christopher Lovejoy, but also we don't know what to expect from Trevor Bryan either, because dude hasn't been in the ring for over 2 years. Just give me a second. I'm bringing up Trevor Bryan's record. Trevor Bryan. Okay, he's 20-0. And his last fight was against BJ Flores, where he put BJ Flores down about 6 times before the ref decided to call it off. But that was back in August of 2018. Actually, it was the day before my birthday in 2018. So Francis Russell was his last opponent before that. I'm just looking through his record to see how many people with a pulse Trevor Bryan has fought. Glenn Brown I've heard of. 44-33-1 though when he fought him. Derek Rossi he fought. That's the guy. Derek Rossi, for those of you who don't know, is the guy who Bermain Stavern fought after he lost to Deontay Wilder. This fight against Rossi was apparently the fight that got him the mandatory position back. Derek Rossi knocked him down in the first round, and many people thought he lost that fight, but they gave it to him a UD on the cards. I'm just going to look at the scorecards and see what the judges said for that, because I didn't see the fight live, but I did watch it. I watched parts of it afterwards. Right, so we've got 97 to 92, 98 to 91, 98 to 91. They scored that some wide ass shit, man. Wide as shit. And there's no way it was that wide. Oh no, this is Trevor Bryan. Sorry, this is a Trevor Bryan one. Yeah. Okay, the Trevor Bryan one, yeah, that was wide. I agree, but hold on, where is it? Vermain Stavern, there it is. Yeah, they gave it to a unanimous decision to Stavern over 10 rounds. Now, I'm just bringing up the scores here. And remember, Stavern got dropped in the first round by Derek Rossi. 96 to 93. 95 to 94. 96 to 93. Okay, they did score it fairly close. But yeah, I thought Stavern lost that fight. But hey, we'll give him the mandatory after beating a guy who wasn't even in the freaking rankings. I mean, I could bitch about the WBC all day. And at the moment, I could also bitch about the WBA. But I won't. So, hopefully we're going to get that fight on October 3rd. But I'm not having high hopes considering it's not confirmed on BoxRec as yet. The old Don King shadiness is holding shit up, maybe, I don't know. But so doesn't look like anyone's going to join. But so I've got Yoka stopping Duhapas in round 8 or 9. I've got Hrgovic stopping Parla round 1. Now for the other fights, I've got the ones that aren't heavyweight. I've got Breeders beating Dorticus on points. However, I think it's very competitive, and there's a good possibility that Dorticus could knock Breeders out. Dorticus is very one-dimensional. He throws a very good 1-2. Doesn't throw a lot of body shots. But if he lands that 1-2 flush, you're going to sleep. They call him the KO doctor for a freaking reason. So that's a very good fight. But I've got Breeders on points. Jamal Charlo versus Jason Rosario. I think that's a late stoppage for Jamal Charlo and Sergey Deverenchenko. I think that's a much more competitive fight than his brother's fight. But I'm still going to go with Jamal on points. And that's all I'm going to give predictions on for this weekend. And yeah, so I hope y'all have enjoyed this little stream, and I'll catch up with you again soon. I might try and do a commentary stream on the Yoka versus Duhapas fight. That's if I can find a broadcast for it. And like I said earlier, hopefully AA Boxing and Blunts can find something, as he's good at finding these more obscure fights from other countries that we're not used to getting broadcasts from. So keep your eyes open. I will schedule it if I find a link, and hopefully I'll catch you on Saturday morning New Zealand time to commentate on that fight. That's me for today. I'm out of here. So that's it for Big Boys Boxing for today. I hope you've enjoyed. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you have, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification so not to miss future content. If you'd like to get more involved with the channel, get on the live panel, you can jump over here on the channel and find this Discord invite icon. If you hit that, it will take you to the Discord server, and over here we have multiple ways of getting involved. Firstly, for the live panel, there's this live panel voice channel here. You simply click on it and you're in. Down the bottom here, you got your mic, unmute, and you see your green rings when you're talking, and you're away. You can mute when you're not speaking, and to get out, you hit this hang up button. Simple as. Also, we have live fight streams here. Sometimes I will stream a fight to this channel. You can come in here, you can't speak in this channel obviously, and there will be a video box here somewhere. You just double click on it and it goes straight into what I'm streaming, and out you go. Also here we have watch BBB games. Sometimes I'll stream my Fight Night Champion games here, or Fight Night Gym. Myself and a few others who are in the Fight Night Club sometimes stream our games to this channel, so you can come and watch. You're quite welcome to. Up here we have general chat. This is where we all talk about boxing with what's going on. Everybody's welcome there. We have live fight links here. If I have a link to a fight, I generally drop the links here within 24 hours once I find the link, so you can come and find links here. Fight replays as well. As you can see, I drop YouTube links here if I have them. This one's for the Serenko fight that happened over the weekend, and also I recorded the Fabio Woodley fight, so you can come and click this and you can watch that there as well. There's also the Fight Night chat here, but that's for guys who are interested in playing Fight Night Champion and talking about strategies, how to build fighters, all that sort of thing. But it's easy to get involved, so all you have to do is get over to the Big Boys Boxing homepage and this Discord icon here. Also there's links here for Twitter and Facebook. I don't drop a lot, but news channels, news stories that I don't cover, sometimes I drop the links there, and also a donation link here for anybody who'd like to support the channel. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed, and I shall catch you next time. I'm Jono from Big Boys Boxing, and I'm out. So